Welcome to the one-time only broadcast of Underdogs4All. I'm your host, Rachel Arend, and I'm so excited to have you all listening today. Today's story is going to focus on how a tiny boxer puppy named Ruthie was adopted from Rescue for All into a growing family, and the reservations dog owners may have about raising a newborn around a boxer puppy. I interviewed Carrie Grambo, the excited new mom to a daughter named Astrid, a 1.5-year-old Shepherd Lab mix named Lily, and the newest member to the family, a boxer puppy named Ruthie. Before she even met the puppy or knew she existed, Carrie Grambo knew she would be a part of her family. How could she possibly have known that she would adopt a tiny boxer puppy with a cleft lip and cleft palate? It came to her in a dream.
This is gonna sound ridiculous, but I'd had a dream, 2 days before, a week before, literally before the dog was born, and I was like, Isaac, I had a dream that you got really mad at me because I went to visit Jamie and see your dogs, and there was a little brown puppy with a cleft palate, and I brought her home and named her Ruthie, and you were, really, really mad at me because you were like, what are you doing? And I was like, but I brought her home anyway, and then you let me keep her. And he was like, that's stupid, dogs don't even get cleft palate, that's ridiculous. And then 2 days later, or something like that, Jamie posted the picture of Ruthie, and was like, we have this little cleft palate puppy that came in, she was brown, and I was like, I sent Isaac a text message, and I was like, I'm psychic, and this is our dog! And he was like, ah. And then he was like, oh shit, it is our dog. It was a little bit hard for him because he has a cleft palate, and he wasn't sure if it was going to bother him to see a dog with cleft palate, because it's just, I think, sometimes hard to sort of have that reminder, even if you forget about it yourself, and to have that in your face. So he was a little bit leery about it, and he was also worried about medical stuff, but then he met her and was like, oh, yeah, okay, we're getting that puppy.
Once they brought Ruthie home, the Grambos were met with skepticism as they decided to raise their boxer puppy and newborn daughter together. Carrie's response to those thoughts went a little like this.
I've grown up with dogs, and, I think at any point you keep an eye, if you're a responsible dog owner, you keep an eye whenever dogs or children are interacting. That's just how it is. Faye, my previous dog, was probably some sort of pit mix. They said boxer shepherd, but she was the sweetest, most affectionate, most protective dog that I had ever seen. And so it was really more interesting to have people's perception of what should be scaring me versus what actually does. What's interesting is that I keep a closer eye on Lily with Astrid because she's less aware of her size. She's not aggressive at all. She doesn't have an aggressive bone in her body, but she swipes at things. And so that's where I keep a closer eye, where Ruthie, sort of rolled into a household as a puppy with a baby, and, Ruthie's greatest desire and dream in life is to sit in your lap forever. So, she's probably more likely to be snuggling with the baby.
Something Carrie is very passionate about is teaching children how to interact with dogs properly, because she sees it as unfair when dogs are blamed for lashing out at people who are mistreating them.
I'm also a firm believer in teaching children how to interact properly with dogs. I think it's really unfair when dogs are blamed for people who are irresponsible with their children and allowing them to poke at them and pull on them and climb on them, and then, oh yeah, the dog just sits there and takes it. And it's well, until the dog doesn't, or they can't get away. And that was one of the things with Faye, when she would get uncomfortable with my nephews. I always praised her a lot because she would do whatever she needed to do to get away when she started feeling uncomfortable. So if that meant she had to get up and jump over a couch, or climb up on a table, she would do it. And I would praise her for that because it meant that she was removing herself from that. So I'm, it's always something I don't think as a parent you ever turn off your mild alarm system that's on, but I'm certainly, I think, much less nervous about it because of my familiarity, than even my mom, who's like, oh my God, you have a baby and a puppy. And I'm like, the puppy's 6 pounds. She's 17 pounds now, but at the time I was like, yes,
Yes, I do have this.
Yes, I do, but I also want to make sure that my baby doesn't hurt the puppy, right? Because the odds of a dog biting a child unprovoked, and especially dogs who's been socialized, is really low unless there's something wrong.
Rescue for All is proof that dogs are not born mean or angry. Dogs simply react to the way they are treated. Many of the dogs that Rescue for All deals with are on their last chance before being euthanized because they are too violent or too hard to handle.
I'm a firm believer in rescuing rather than purchasing. Like, I don't think I will ever buy a dog, and that's because it just wasn't how I was raised. But this makes me feel good because I know that, like, I'm supporting an organization that puts dogs into foster. I like the foster environment for dogs because it pulls them out of the Humane Society, and then more dogs can be in the Humane Society. So it's win-win for everybody when you have rescues in foster.
With the right training and love from foster homes and volunteers, they are the perfect playmate for children, comfort for the elderly, or addition to any family.
I have a soft spot for pits and pit mixes, which is, one of those things that people have such a strong reaction to pitties that it's like, it sort of breaks my heart because in my experience, they're really, really sweet dogs. And, at some point they were like the most popular family dog in England. They were considered nanny dogs because they were so good with children. And because Faye, my previous dog, was a sort of pit mix and she was on her last chance when I got her, like, I gravitate towards that sort of as a philosophy. My experience has been really, really good. My favorite thing about Rescue4All is, specifically with Jamie, is that she is very much a, the educate, don't discriminate, like, Rescue4All is literally for all dogs and all dog breeds. Like, at least with Jamie, like, I know the good stuff that's happening, and she works, like, if you've got high-risk dogs, then she rehabs them, and they really work to find the right placement so that the dogs can be happy and successful. The thing that I think makes her damn near heroic is that she also takes on the dogs with mega esophagus and the pica and all of the stuff that they like, that make those dogs really, really hard to adopt, and like, well, why do you want a dog? And for me, like, my dogs are family, and my dogs are like my buddies, and I got my first dog in graduate school because I was lonely and I needed a running buddy, and she was like my person. She'd like ride in the car and we'd go on adventures and she'd go coaching with me, and it was like the coolest thing. And so, Jamie's personal passion for dogs comes from that place of really, really believing in what she's doing, and she does so much good that I think it would be hard for me to not support what she's doing.
Well, that's all we have for you. I want to say thank you to Carrie Grambo for sharing her story with us, and for showing us that oftentimes it's the underdogs that come out on top.